Well, with all the qualifying events now for the Volvo Masters Amateur well underway, one of the secrets to getting good results on a golf course is being better prepared. Now, as a tournament player, I used to try and practice all kinds of different shots that I knew I might need the following week when I was going in towards a big golf tournament. Preparation comes in loads of different ways. Just having the right amount of golf clubs, having some spare gloves, having a spare towel just in case it gets wet when you're out playing. So prepare for a golf course, prepare for a golf tournament, and you'll be prepared to win.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to this edition of SportsView with the venerable Joe Waters and the venerable Derwynne Honan there for you now. Now, Joe and Derwynne, the lads were asking me who we were. There's some people who have come new into the show, and so we put on those to put a context to what you're about, you know. And now some people of my own vintage would know of Joe because of the soccer, but other younger folk like Derwynne would be much younger. He wouldn't remember. He wouldn't have any memories of that.
I remember that. We got phone call to come and we got a phone call from Ireland to make sure we were watching Match of the Day that night. To watch him.
God.
We did, and then I told you before, he sent me loads of gubbins, rosettes.
You know what, Joe? Before we get into the meat of the programme, I suppose it's a bit poignant in a way with Leicester City playing Everton tonight for their survival in the Premiership.
Yeah, it is. It's really sad to see. You know, you got Leicester, you got Everton, you got Leeds, all in this dogfight to stay in the Premier League. You know, all clubs that have at one time or another won the league and the cup. Or the League Cup, so it's this is really hard, you know, to watch this. You know, obviously I don't want Leicester to go down, but you know, those other clubs as well have got great traditions.
And Derwynne, tonight, how do you see it going? I mean, it's a dog eat dog now at the bottom of the Premiership, as it is every year anyway. You know, some of them have 3 games left, some of them have only 2 left. And as we said there in the beginning, you Southampton, just for people, Southampton on 24 points, Everton 28, Leicester 29, and then Forest and Leeds on 30. How do you see it going tonight, Joe? All right, Derwynne.
I think Leicester will nick it tonight.
Yeah.
I think they're just a little bit too good to go down, aren't they?
You think that do you think they're a better team than Everton? I know it's a stupid thing to say and they're down at the bottom, but
yeah, I think it's a toss of the coin, isn't it, really, when you think about it at that end of the table, because they're all fighting for survival, really, aren't there? There's probably 6 teams down the bottom there that are fingers crossed, really, I suppose.
They are. And over the last few days, we had wins for Palace, Brentford, Brighton, Bournemouth, Man City, Man United, Newcastle, Liverpool. They all won, of course. I'm predicting myself that Southampton are relegated anyway. And as we know over the weekend, Burnley and Sheffield United are back in the Premiership with 1 more to come. Newcastle have come good in the last half of the Premiership. They're flying high. And I think they'll probably be looking forward to building for the future and strengthening their team, you know. Celtic beat Rangers in the Scottish Cup semi-final. They're into the final against Inverness Caledonian Thistle. There's a nice long name for you know. You wouldn't put that on the jersey. So they retained them in the final, you know. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, Bayern Munich went top after their win by 1 point over Dortmund in the Bundesliga, and of course La Liga and Serie A, they'll all be finishing up in the next couple of weeks as well. We'll have a recap of them later on in the show. But anyway, getting back to what we call, broadly speaking, domestic matters. Before we get onto the Premiership, I'll be killed if I don't mention, Joe, and you probably heard it, Newmarket Celtic here in junior soccer in County Clare became the first junior soccer club from County Clare to win the FAI Junior Cup. Now, the importance of that cup cannot be underestimated, not because Newmarket won it, but it's a huge, huge fill-up. And particularly when you consider the strength of soccer in Dublin and its environs, and you had 2 local teams made the final, St. Michael's, Joe, who you know of yourself, and Newmarket Celtic. They drew 1-1 in the. I wasn't at it. My son was at it. He gave me blow by blow for it. But then there was a penalty shootout after extra time, yielding more goals, and Newmarket came through 5-4. Joe, it's a huge fill up for local soccer locally, anyway. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean it's huge. I mean, when you think, when I was around, Newmarket didn't have a team. St Michael's did, because I played in when I came home for the summer one year. I played for Tommy Burns' the Pike Inn team in a tournament out there. So it is huge. Now, am I correct in saying that the FAI Junior Cup is the biggest cup competition in Europe? It has the most teams that enter it.
There's no doubt about. You are correct in that. You are correct in that. It's phenomenal. It goes on for months and it's phenomenal to come through. There's a huge. It's not like the FA Cup when there's, what is it, 4 or 5 rounds? Is it in the FA Cup proper?
Well, there's 6 rounds for the Premiership teams.
Yeah.
So you have the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round, semi-final and final. So yeah, and then you have the lower division teams are in round 1 and 2, I think, and then you have all the other teams that compete to get into it. But the FAI Cup or the FAI Juniors setup is a lot different now than it used to be, because only one team from Limerick could ever get out.
Yep.
And that was just the way it's set up. So you played the local edition of the FAI Junior Cup, and that one team off they went when they won it at the end of it, and then it was against all the other teams that had won their preliminary rounds, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
it's a huge fill up.
Yeah.
There was my grandson was at the celebrations, and of course it was all over TikTok, all the pictures, and they're rolling and shouting. But I'm delighted for them anyway,
that's great news. I mean, that is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and our hero Roy of the Premiership of Palace fame, they've done it again. Crystal Palace. Joe, Derwynne, did you see that?
I did.
What do you think of our Roy now?
Well, I can't. Who was it the other day? I think it was David Moyes. David Moyes was saying in the press conference during the midweek for this weekend's games that Roy Hodgson's just so passionate about football. Forget the age part. He's still in his head. He's still a 25-year-old with the passion of a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
And Moyes was singing his praises as being one of the best managers in the world.
Well, I mean, not because of his stint now with Crystal Palace, but I think if you look at his career, I don't have all the stuff in front of me. I mean, he's never made headlines for the wrong reasons, no matter where he was.
No, and I mean, he's had some pretty big jobs. I mean, like we talked before, he was with Bobby Houghton at Malmo when they lost to Forest in the European Cup final.
Yeah.
And he also moved on. He coached AC Milan. He's had various jobs in Scandinavia. Of course, he managed Liverpool. He managed Fulham. Of course, Palace. I'm trying to think of any of the other teams that he was around, but he's always done a very, very good job, and he's completely re-energized
Crystal Palace.
This time around. Although, to be fair, Derwynne, I don't know what you thought about it, but I thought that penalty was a very dodgy penalty for the winning goal, for the 4th goal.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about penalties and stuff, how that wasn't a penalty with the West Ham Liverpool game.
Oh yeah.
Again, I don't know. I don't know.
The thing with that, it's the inconsistency of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I watched that Palace game, and the Palace guy goes around the West Ham guy. He doesn't touch him with his foot, and his hand is out from his side, and the Palace player feels him brush him and goes to ground, and the referee gives a penalty for it, right? In the Liverpool game, in the Liverpool-Tottenham game, Konate has two hands on Richarlison's shoulders and knocks him to the ground, and no penalty given.
Yeah.
So tell me, someone tell me where the consistency in this is. I mean, it was the same thing in the City Arsenal game.
Yeah.
Right? At 2-0, I think Erling Haaland is in the box, has his hands behind his back. There's a shot, he bends down, blocks it with his arm, and there's no penalty given. Yet, a few minutes later, on the field of play, a ball hits a guy on the arm, and there's a free kick given.
Yeah.
So there's just no consistency in what they're doing and what they're calling.
And Jurgen Klopp was giving out about the referee.
Oh, he needs to stop. You know, I read an article this morning in the paper, and I guarantee you, it's just like all this pulling and dragging in the box. You give a couple of penalties, and that stops straight away.
Yeah.
You tell Klopp that he's got a 4 or 5 match sideline ban. See how long it takes him to shut his mouth and leave the referee alone. The same thing with Pep Guardiola. That has no business. They have no business doing that.
No.
You know,
and tomorrow night we have Arsenal and Chelsea. I'll still call it Highbury. All right, lads. I'll still call it Highbury. I don't care what you call it. Now, Derwynne, do you think this is an easy 3 points for Arsenal?
No, I don't.
No?
No. I just keep thinking Chelsea are going to come good at some stage, aren't they? They can't be crap all the time.
They can.
Can they?
They can.
And I think Arsenal a bit. No, they can't be. And you've got Arsenal. To me, Arsenal look a bit shaky, don't they? They're a little bit down on their confidence a bit.
I think Arsenal have Joe. I think Arsenal have decided that Man City are going to win the Premiership. They're going to consolidate second place. But do you think they'll beat Chelsea anyway tomorrow night?
I think that they'll beat Chelsea. But, you know, it's, we used to have a saying, being useless is a privilege. But some people abuse that privilege, and that's Chelsea right now. They're a bit like Spurs. I mean, I watched it again yesterday. Spurs, you do brilliant to get back to a 3-3 tie, and then one long kick down the field and a mess up by one of their players that just come on as a sub, and Lucas Moura, and hand the game back to Liverpool from that. So it's just it just seems to be. I mean, I just got the stat. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Frank Lampard now has won 2 games in 19.
Wow.
That's
Remember I said a while back that Frank Lampard might be one of those people, great player, just not cut out to be a manager.
No,
right.
No.
I said it ages ago in one of the shows, and
you did.
To me,
I remember that.
Yeah.
It's like he go and find another job, Frank, or become assistant manager or something.
I think that he'd be good in the on the TV. I mean,
I think he'd be great. I think he'd be great at the front gate of Chelsea, greeting the people coming in.
Meet and greet.
An ambassador.
Yeah.
The ambassador in a top hat. Ambassador Frank.
It's not Harrods.
Yeah, that's that really. I mean, that whole thing. It just goes to show you. You're looking now at. You're looking at 3 teams here. That you're looking at 4 actually, but you're looking at Everton, poorly managed from the boardroom, very poorly managed. Leicester City, same way.
Yeah.
but whoever was in charge of recruitment did not do a very good job.
No.
Chelsea, same way.
Yeah.
Spurs, same way.
Yeah.
You know, they
You're
have
right.
4 people in charge and 4 decisions being made, and they're suffering they're suffering from that. You know,
Yeah.
it's going to continue until they get somebody in there that's going to make changes.
Yeah. And on Wednesday night, Derwynne, we have Liverpool versus Fulham and Man City versus West Ham. It'd be a good double now for Fulham and West Ham, would it?
You know what? I wouldn't shock me if West Ham beat Man City, because they're that kind of team, aren't they? They go hot and cold. They can do something silly.
They're a decent team.
They can pull out a result when they, they can. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And then they can have an absolute nightmare.
I know Man City going to put the this next comment's really stupid. They're going to put the A team out because their A, B, and C team are probably Premier League champions.
Is that their A team or their AA team?
Yeah, the A plus team.
Because it's like, I mean, it's.
They put all the bankers out. All the bankers out.
They've got to be thinking about Real Madrid match, haven't they?
They have to be.
I mean, it's going to play on their minds for sure. But I mean, the thing is that they just want to win everything. You know.
Yeah. And then, Derwynne, are you going down to the South Coast on Thursday night? Brighton and Man U.
You know what? I would really fancy going, but I don't know. I mean, I'm always going to support United, but whatever. I'll be on my tombstone, United. But the last few games, they've definitely seemed to have dropped points rather than won games, haven't they?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Mind you, to be fair, the result against Villa was a good result.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they were a little bit unfortunate against Spurs when with that draw, with Spurs equalising in that.
I think so.
Because Spurs really in the last couple of games have shown that they can be like the Keystone Cops at times defending, but then they get a surge and they come right back into the game, and they just seem to be able to have something going late on in games. So maybe that's what happened with the United game. I mean, it happened with Liverpool. So it's I think United are. I don't think anyone's going to catch them for 4th.
I don't think so. I was looking at the table. Arsenal, Derwynne, are going up to Newcastle on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's another banana skin for Arsenal, isn't it?
And Man United are going to West Ham on Sunday.
Which is always a bit of a funny game.
I was going to say, United do not do well against West Ham.
Yeah.
They do
not.
not.
A weird game. I was at it would have been a couple of, was it last season? Last season where they brought Noble on to take the penalty in the last minute.
Yeah.
I'm with some mates who are West Ham fans. So I sat on my hands all game because you're not allowed to jump up or anything because you get killed.
Yeah.
And then they bring in on Noble, and you're just like, what's this all about? Bringing Noble on, but again, like Joe's just said, if I wouldn't say it's a bogey team for United, but I think they are one of those teams that always surprise United, don't they?
Didn't they at one time? Didn't Canio score?
Everton,
United from winning the league.
Everton are gone. Everton are gone ahead. They're 1-up.
Oh wow!
After 21 minutes, so we're sports user program here on learmedia.tv Monday, the 1st of May Day 2023, from 8 to 9 p.m. with Derwynne, Joe, and myself. And as we said, as we're on air, Everton are playing Leicester, and they're going to goal up after 21 minutes. We'll keep you posted on that anyway. Just move on quickly to rugby over the weekend. The European Champions Cup was at semi-final stage. So the same pairing from last year, La Rochelle, Ronan O'Gara's coach team La Rochelle are meeting Leinster in the final in Lansdowne Road, as it was over in France last year. La Rochelle beat Exeter 47-28. They really hammered them. And Leinster won 41-22. They beat Toulouse. So there you go. The same pairing as last year. England ladies won the Six Nations Championship. Ireland got the wooden spoon, and I think they deserved it, but they were very lucky to get it. As to see, tongue in cheek. I don't mean to be that nasty, but really.
Did you know that that England women's rugby team have not lost a game in 5 years?
No, that's right.
5 years they have not lost a game. They've got to be handicapped, haven't they? You've got to there's got to be some ruling against the other ladies.
Well, this is on before the watershed, so we can't see anything about that, you know.
Maybe they give them 2 tries head start or something.
Yeah. Many teams have scored first a few times against England in matches, the English rugby team, the ladies team, but they've steamrolled them.
Yeah.
Their pack is just incredible. And France and England are the two, what I call two professional teams. They're way ahead of Wales, Scotland and Ireland and Italy.
Yeah.
And so I think, I don't know what they can do. It's like the men's Six Nations. I think, lads, I don't know about you. I know it's a minority sport, but I think the luster has gone off the Six Nations. I think there's so many other competitions. There's so many test matches played, pretend test matches in rugby. Really, I'm looking forward to the World Cup, obviously, in France, but I'm saying the Six Nations is just silly at this stage. You've either England, France, or Ireland winning it, and you have Italy last every year. What's the point of it?
Yeah. I mean, that is interesting.
I wouldn't say that.
You know, I mean, it's, I don't know. Obviously we're getting more games now than we've ever gotten before. Mm-hmm. You know, it used to be the Triple Crown and the Grand Slam were always the big things. And then you'd see the New Zealanders or the Australians touring every now and again.
Yeah.
So, you know, top class rugby games were kind of few and far between back in the day. Now, with the club scene having becoming so dominant and prominent, we're seeing more and more and more top class games, and it's sometimes it does make a competition like the Six Nations. It doesn't make it the huge attraction that it was before.
Yeah, the top 14 in France.
The autumn internationals that have diluted it.
Yeah, they have. They're too near to start up. But you're dead right, Derwynne. The top 14 rugby in France is sensational. Since I got the chance, I read there's some scintillating rugby. 10 of those 14 clubs in the top 14 have budgets which would make your eyes water, far bigger than the whole budget of Italy. I'm saying. Some of them are bigger than the budget in Scotland, and some of them are bigger than the budget in Wales. There's so much money is in top 14 rugby in France. People should understand that. Yeah.
I think, you know, like the comments we just had there, I mean, Wales still probably in the last decade have won more Grand Slams than any other team in that Six Nations, when you think about it, in the last 10.
Probably, yeah, probably.
So they punch way above their weight when they've got a full team of the right age group. They've gone through a transition with old boys leaving, haven't they? Or nearly.
They have,
should have been
all
less.
teams go through that.
But it's the autumn internationals carrying those world ranking points is what messes this all up.
Yeah,
because they all want the New Zealanders and the Aussies and the South Africans and the Argentinians. They all want to come. The home nations want them over here touring because they fill the stadium. I mean, Cardiff for New Zealand is like a sellout within something like an hour.
30 seconds will be gone. But the point you're making,
game is the same.
The point you're making is pertinent because the World Cup is in France, and Ireland, because of their success in the autumn internationals will have to beat 3 of the top teams on the planet to win the World Cup because of their success in those internationals, you know, which...
In it, those world ranking points in those autumn internationals is, if like Wales, you see what England sometimes play. They play Japan,
Argentina,
Namibia, Canada, and you kind of go, well, hang on a second. Wales take on New Zealand, South Africa, and Australia in all the autumn internationals because it fills Cardiff.
It does.
But they're losing ranking points by filling the stadium. If they did what England did and said we'll play Namibia, Canada, one game against New Zealanders, one game against the Aussies, maybe.
Yeah,
whoever
and
has to be timed right.
Mm-hmm.
They gain points in world ranking.
And if you look at the draw in the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup in France, England would be one of my favourites to get into the final because of the side of the draw they're on, if they'll play up to form. So then you have South Africa, New Zealand and Ireland on the other side of the draw, you know. South Africa, New Zealand and Ireland. And, you know, those 3 teams will be favourites to win it, but the 2 of those will be gone before the final. So, anyway, we're not making up money for the bookies. We're just talking about practicalities of the autumn internationals having a lopsided bearing on the World Cup. I think there should be no points allocated on the year of the World Cup.
Or it should be then, I mean, you have your rankings, right? And if you were playing teams that are outside of the top 10 in the rankings, then you shouldn't get points, you know, that would match if you were playing the best teams. You know, there should be a handicapping somehow of those.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've seen, it happens here in college football all the time. You have the top college programs that they have their own league that they play in, kind of thing. But then they have these, to call it anything else, but these whipping boys that they bring in, and they run up the score to 50 points to nothing.
They do.
You know? And they get rankings for that. You know, it goes to their rankings. So it's so ridiculous how they pad their schedules to do that. And I mean, people should see through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I always laugh because I like to go to the autumn internationals because it's a good day out. But Wales as a team or a squad haven't been together, and their first match every autumn internationals is New Zealand, who's just come off a full season of playing together.
Yeah.
And you kind of just go, guys, why don't you play Canada first as a warm-up game?
Yeah.
Get your act together and then leave the New Zealand game till the last.
Exactly.
And you kind of you can guarantee they lose to New Zealand, you can guarantee they lose to South Africa, and they sometimes beat Australia. And because the Australians treat the autumn internationals as a bit of we'll bring half the squad have got 2 caps, and they bring them over to get experience.
I forgot to mention, SportsView is a programme on nearmedia.tv. Press the red button on the right-hand side, and Joe, Leicester City have equalised after half an hour. It's 1-1 now. So anyway, there you go. We're on the air here on May Day, the 1st of May, 2023, from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tell all your friends about us. Now, we'll just move briefly along because I know Derwynne has an awful lot to say about the hurling championship and all, so we'll have to move quickly along, Derwynne. You can't say as much as you want to say, so you know it wouldn't be fair to hog the whole show with hurling, you know. But
no, I kept up to. I did get a little bit of an idea from a friend of mine about the game yesterday about Kenny and Galway. So. But I don't want to go too much into that because I don't want to sound too much of an expert.
Yeah, over the weekend anyway, the hurling, there was a lot of games, and obviously I was at one yesterday myself and Mary. We were at the Cork Waterford match at 30,000, fabulous weather, you know. And there was a ladies camogie match on before championship match between Cork and Waterford Waterford won that. And the wonderful Beth Carton for Waterford. The evergreen Bert Carter, don't mind me saying that, I won't mention her age. She scored 10 points from free, and she was scintillating. But before we just go briefly over the hurling. I had the chance to speak to a few young supporters, both from Cork and Galway, before the match. So I think you'll enjoy this, lad. It's only about 2 minutes for the two bits. So here we go. Hi everybody, Pat Barry here reporting from SportsView on theirmedia.tv. I'm here at Cork waiting for, in anticipation of the Cork Waterford match. I have Adam and Charlie from Kerry Pike and Truro. Now Adam, who do you think will win the match? Adam, who's this? Oisin. In the Scarlet. Oh, in the Scarlet. Grand days. We've been a Scarlet, Truro and Kerry Pike represent. And believe it or not, surprisingly enough, they're all going for Cockaboo. We wish SportsView and Larry here on theirmedia.tv. Thanks, lad. Thanks very much. Hi, this is Pat Barry here reporting from SportsView on theirmedia.tv. I'm here in Cork in anticipation of the match between Waterford and Cork. Of course, Cork are going to win, aren't they? No. Katie, who do you think will win? Waterford. And? Waterford. And where are you from in Waterford? Tramore. Oh, beautiful big beach in Tramore. And Flanagan Hurleys. Flanagan Hurleys. You heard it here on SportsView on their media. Flanagan Hurleys. The best hurleys in Waterford, in Ireland, probably. Yep. There you go. So now, we wish you well.
Your daddy makes the hurleys.
So from Pat Barry here on SportsView, reporting on their media.tv. Best of luck as we see you after. Thanks very much.
There's something really wrong with those cricket bats.
Huh?
There's something really wrong with your cricket bats.
I know, yeah. And it was just fortuitous that we got those brother and sister Oisin, and their mum and dad have a company in Tramore that make hurleys, Flanagan Hurleys, and she then decided to give up her job to work alongside and promote the company. So it's a very, very positive success story down in Tramore. I'm sure, Joe, you'll be down in Tramore a good few times.
Oh, yeah.
A beautiful beach there, Derwynne.
Yeah.
We'll bring Derwynne down the next time he's over. But
yeah, I'm just about to say, when I come over, it's liver and bacon. You don't take me to a cricket match.
The timing has to be right. We went in anyway, but Cork beat Waterford by 24 points to 16 or something like 27 points, 16 or whatever. It was a really an easy match for Cork. Clare beat Limerick, the All-Ireland League champions, Saturday night in the Gaelic grounds here in Limerick by 1 point. An absolute scintillating match, a game of hurling. 220 for Limerick, which is 26 points. 124 for Clare, which is 27 points. And then you had Kilkenny and, of course, Kilkenny and Galway had a draw down in Nolan Park. The thing about that is Henry Shefflin, Joe, the winner of multiple All-Ireland medals, is now the manager of Galway, going back to his home county, his home pitch, where he had so much success. So it's a bit tough hiding him, but that's the way it is. Then Dublin beat Antrim in the hurling, which is a very tough match as well. So that's the hurling. And next weekend we'll tell a lot who's going to go forward. But for all the people there, for all the lads who talk, it's always funny. It's always good to talk to kids, because I had forgotten 8 and 9 year olds. They're so serious, you know, in one way, serious and innocent at the same time. You know that they were shocked when I asked them who'll he be shouting for in the blue jersey. They were saying, what kind of an idiot is that, you know?
Well, I mean, isn't that a funny thing, though? I mean, in Gaelic games, practically everybody supports their own county. There's very few people that cross the line.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, GAA is so good like that. You know, I mean, even in the clubs part of it, you know, they very rarely play outside their parishes, right?
No.
You know, so It's
No,
it really
there's a
is.
rule, of course, in the GA, Joe. As
Right.
you know, if you're born in the parish, you play. If there's a club in the parish, football, you play. You must apply for a transfer to play with another club outside the parish, you know. And depending on what it is, there are clubs, there are players who play with. Some clubs don't have any hurling; they have all football. So if you were a dual player, you could be playing with a club in another parish and your own club as well. So that is allowed as well. But as you said, the thing I liked about it for years and years was, of course, we grew up in it, was all the supporters mixing together. You know, there were a row of Waterford supporters behind us. We were in a row of Cork seats. There was another few in front of us, and it was tense at times. But then everyone relaxed when they realised that this game is over a long time, you know. So there was banter then, and as you get in the match, the tension is gone. It's inevitable now. It's over and done with, But it's the same, I'm sure, in all sports, But,
it's like that with Millwall West Ham.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Really friendly, mate.
Will Millwall go up, I wonder?
Pat,
No.
if you sat in the West Ham end with a blue Millwall shirt on, you would not be coming out alive. I promise you.
Yeah, Is it the Den? The Den?
The Den, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
it's
in the
the
Den
new
in
Den now.
1973.
It's the new Den now. They've built a new one.
Yeah.
But
We,
it's still horrible.
Played at Millwall one time, and we won the game. The final whistle, anyway. The Den empties, and they're coming onto the field, right, running onto the field, and I'm ducking. I'm going, because I think they're going to hit me, and the guy just looked at me and said, "You're fine." He says, "We're going after our own guys." It's just like, okay.
Well, Joe, Leicester City are gone 2-1 up.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
They're gone 2-1 up before half time. Vardy scored.
There you go.
Isn't it incredible? I think, Derwynne, what you said about that match, I know it's going on while we're on here, is Leicester will probably have too much for them,
Yeah, definitely.
They have a bit more quality than them, So
Just to give you an update in the snooker as well, boys. Selby's coming back.
Who?
Selby.
Oh, really?
Back to the table. I'm only joking.
He started the night 5 games behind. He's now only I think he's either 2 or 3 games behind.
Yeah, but Bracell is on 15, is he?
16.
16.
Yeah, 16.
He only has 2 more frames to win.
I think it's 16-13 or 16-14.
Yeah, he only has 2 more frames to win.
Yeah, but he's been like that for the last couple of frames. So.
Oh, gee, tension. £500,000 sterling for the winner, £200,000 sterling for the runner-up, and £100,000 sterling for both semi-final losers. So it's a huge tournament. It can make your future in snooker as well, It can keep you going for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, depending on it. Bracell is 28. He's young enough, but Selby has won it 4 times, hasn't he? 4 times in the snooker. 4. Of course, we had a Formula 1 race over the weekend, and guess who won it again? Red Bull. Take your pick. They've won the 4 races, Red Bull, that is, between them, the 4 races that are gone. The next Formula 1 race is in... do you know something? I must admit, I didn't even know it was on. I hate admitting it, till this morning when I was looking up sports results and things. I didn't even know it was on the weekend.
It was actually a good race. I watched
was it?
The second half of it because there was a safety car pulled out, and Red Bull made a bit of an error. They pulled Verstappen in when the virtual safety car got flashed up on the screen.
Yeah.
And then they pulled him in for change the tyres, and they left Perez out there. But the safety car didn't actually come out for another 2 laps. So they made a bit of a boo-boo, to be honest. The Red Bull
Perez won it.
Yeah.
And Verstappen was second, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's Red Bull. you know, we spoke about it before, and we don't want to be running down any sport, but really, it's not a sport anymore when the two cars, it doesn't matter what make or model they are, like it was Mercedes for years, you know. I could drive a Mercedes and win the Formula One Grand Prix with it, you know. They were that cutting edge ahead of everybody else. The same now with Red Bull, those two cars. They're so far ahead of the rest of them. I mean, this thing that Formula One say that we're going to make every car equal. Well, if that is the case, what's happening during the races if they're all equal?
I think what the FIA are saying is that the cars have got to have the same kind of styles as such. That you can have a fin, but the fin's got to be measured this to that. But I don't think they'll ever get it to the point where they're all driving the same car and the same engine and the same tyres and everything like that, because it's not in the car industry's best interest, is it?
I don't know. What do you, Joe? Do you watch much of it, Formula One?
I don't, because to me it got to be boring. You know, it was the same people winning time and time. There was nothing different kind of thing, you know. So I just lost interest in it. I used to enjoy it, you know, years ago, but I just lost it. I mean, when James Hunt and guys like that were driving, and Nicky Lauda,
I loved it. James Hunt, Nicky Lauda,
yeah,
Alain
Mansell.
Yeah, Nigel Mansell, you know.
Nigel Mansell, Ayrton Senna.
Yeah. And I
think,
sorry, go on.
I think then that it was racing because they did overtake.
Yeah.
Now it's more about tactics and technology than it is anything else.
And I mean, if I overtake you, I mean, it's just so stupid, the rules. There are only so many places, I didn't realize it, on the track that you can overtake. And if you don't do that, you'll be penalised 8 seconds or 10 seconds. It's completely nuts. It's not racing anymore, Derwynne. As you said, it's all technology and computers.
But I think also the racetracks have changed, haven't they? Because they're going to these road, you know, city tracks. You know, that place in Azerbaijan, there is only probably the back straight, the finishing straight is the only place they really can overtake, because it's windy little roads and it's like a procession, isn't it? You get your nose in front and stay there.
God, was it James Hunt won it in 1977, was it? I think
around that time. To be honest, I'm not totally sure on that. But
they did a Did you see the documentary on James Hunt?
Yeah.
Oh, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And wasn't it at that time when he was jousting with Lauda? Lauda got a very bad crash and he got burned and all that. Do you remember? Was that that era? Was it?
You know, the rivalry between them two was massive on the track, wasn't it? Right?
Yeah.
But the first car to stop when Lauda had that big crash was James Hunt. Yep. James Hunt stopped to try and help him get out of the car. And there was cars going past.
I didn't realise that.
As much as there was a massive rivalry, as in I want to win, Hunt still stopped the car immediately when he knew Lauda was in trouble and got out the car and actually tried to rescue him.
And I suppose it's like many sports. I know we look back sometimes at sports with rose-tinted glasses. That's a given. But there seemed to be, at that time, way more characters around in racing, in Formula One racing, like James Hunt, like Nicky Lauda, different character. Like I'm thinking of Emerson Fittipaldi. Did you remember him?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Gilles Villeneuve. Was it Gilles Villeneuve?
Yeah. Graham Hill.
Like huh?
Graham Hill.
Graham Hill. That's right, Graham Hill.
There's a great story about Graham Hill that he loved the Monaco Grand Prix, right? Because it was just like a Playboy's paradise, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
So he loved it to the point that his car broke down one year on one of the corners, and there's a cafe on the corner. And he actually never made it back to where he was staying for 2 days. The car got parked up, and he jumped over the barrier and basically just spent the next 24 hours drinking in the cafe with the people in the cafe.
That's very good. That's
Isn't that
very
good?
good. Do you know your man? Just one minute to ask you, we were talking about the golf. Do you know Larazabel? Did you ever meet him?
I've met him a few times.
Yeah,
Pablo?
I think he's playing in the Irish Open. He plays in most years anyway, you know. And
He's
of course,
a good guy.
huh?
He's a good guy.
He's and I think McIlroy is playing this week in that golf tournament this week that's coming up. I was reading about him, you know. But there's a lot of negativity with the PGA, and they seem to have, what's the word? They're after fining him. Was it $2 million or something like that, or deducting $2 million from him? The PGA.
From
Because
McIlroy.
because he didn't play in the RBC Heritage.
Oh, he pulled out, didn't he, after the
He
Masters?
did, yeah, pulled out. And that was one of the designated events that they want him to play for, you know. But I see that what's his name? Mickelson had to go again. He said, he said, all the best golfers are here, you know. If you want to come and join us, you will play with the best, you know. And had tongue in cheek against Jay Monahan, you know, giving out about that, you know. He said,
it is pathetic that
it is
the way they're carrying on about it all.
It's shocking.
And you think about it, you know, Larazabal, or whatever his name is, Pablo. He won Korea, and the ladies won what he won less money than the women.
Yeah, and
again, you know, he won nothing compared to what they're winning at Live.
No.
There's caddies on Live have earned more than that.
There are, yeah, and I'm just wondering, Derwynne, have we any news or information or gossip about the Ryder Cup?
Well, the rumours about the Ryder Cup is that if you're on Live, you're not part of it.
Why?
Because they won that. Because the European Tour won that court case that they can ban the players because they're not eligible to play on the European Tour. So they are going to, no wild cards will be given out, I think, which is, again, to me, it's like, why can't you play on X amount of tours? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I mean, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka would make the Ryder Cup team
all day long,
and Phil Mickelson would have, with his form, could make it.
Yeah,
those three players won't be playing for America.
Patrick Reed.
Patrick Reed. Sorry, I forgot about him. That's four. That's a third of your team.
Yeah.
And then on the European side, Sergio Garcia has a real surge in form now in the last couple of weeks. I mean, he's a good Ryder Cup player, Sergio Garcia. He'll be missed not playing for Europe. You know.
I just think it's all a bit like grow up, boys. Like, you know, there's enough money swirling around. I mean, let's face it, golf is not struggling for prize money, is it?
No. Every company, any company that has an international outlet wants to be associated with somebody, either wearing a cap or a T-shirt or on your bag.
And the stupid thing about all of this is if you're a member of the US Tour, you're the member of the European Tour, you have to play, I think it's 12 events. Right? You have to play 12 events to keep your membership. So what's wrong with those guys on Live playing 12 events? And then playing Live? And what's wrong with McIlroy playing 12 on the European? Because he keeps his membership for the European by being in world ranking points. Because he doesn't play 11 events on the European Tour.
No, he never does.
Still a member of the tour, but he keeps his ranking because of world ranking points.
Oh, I have you.
He keeps his membership. Well, hang on a minute. Isn't that like what's good for one is good for the other, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, Europe will have John Ram on their team without a doubt, you know.
Yeah.
America now looks like Tony Finau could make it now as well, the team, after winning in Mexico. And he has a good few top 10, 20 finishes as well. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see. It's in Italy, the Ryder Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, Rome, yeah.
Yeah, and 2027 to be here in Adair Manor, lads. So if we're around for then, 27, whole lot, that's 4 more years. Is it 4? Yeah, 4 more years. We'll do a special from the Ryder Cup in Adair Manor in 2027. They won't know who we are, but we don't mind. We don't care about that, you know. We know who we are. But getting back to the Premiership, it is Man City's, I suppose, Joe, is it Man City's?
Well, I mean, it's so hard to say, you know, because just like Derwynne said there, you know, I mean, City now have got, they're fighting on 3 fronts, and they want so badly to win the Champions League.
They do. They do.
You know, and if they could equal the treble like that United had a few years ago, then that would be, I mean, that would be massive for them. So, but you know, you sometimes get distracted. You know, it's so difficult just to keep everybody on track when it's when you're fighting on 3 fronts. You know, it really is. And I mean, Arsenal, they didn't look. I mean, it looked like men against boys last week in the Arsenal City game. I mean, it really did.
It did.
It really showed Arsenal's inexperience in that game. And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Haaland himself could have scored 4 or 5 goals in that game.
He could. That is true.
I mean, he was that close to it a couple, 2 or 3 times. So I just, you know, I just have a sneaky suspicion that City are going to do the trouble. I just do.
And Derwynne, are there soccer clubs in every country that the generality of the public don't warm to, you know? I think I get the feeling that there isn't huge excitement about Man City winning the Premiership around Britain, is there?
I think most football fans feel City have just bought championships, and but that's finance. That's just jealousy on financials, isn't it? You know, they got the clout to go and buy whoever they want to go and buy, really, haven't they?
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. That's true.
I don't think I don't think there's a single. I'm sure if Messi was 28 and was up for sale, City would have bought him.
And tell me now, looking forward to next season, how will Haaland handle playing in Kenilworth Road?
He's
got to try and work out where it is first.
If he can get in that gate that I keep seeing,
he'll get a good slap from the sideline.
Do you know what's interesting?
I'm trying to remember what Kenilworth Road was like. The dressing rooms there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can't remember it, to be honest. I've played there a few times. I know that. I played there for Leicester, and because they were in the combination with us, so we played them every year. And then when we were in the 2nd division at Grimsby, we played them a couple of times in the 2nd division. So,
what about before we go? We have to mention Wrexham FC. I know just before we get into talking about them, there's a new 3-day a week flight from Cork to Bristol starting in June. You know, so hopefully they'll keep going for a while. But Wrexham, Derwynne, do you think they'll bring some excitement to League Two now? You know, will they consolidate? There was speculation that they have 4 or 5 players lined up from the higher division, the Championship particularly. You know.
Yeah, they keep saying it's like Jones from United is going to go and play for him and everything else because he's basically crocked, isn't he? He's got a big injury and he's going to have a big payday for a season playing for Wrexham.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, that's very interesting. They'll be
so
against your team,
will.
Joe. Huh?
He hasn't played a game for how long, Phil Jones?
I think it's something like 2 years now.
Yeah.
Phil Jones
And of course,
hasn't
his
played a game.
contract is up this year, right?
If you know anybody that knows him, Derwynne, he's welcome to come over to Newmarket Celtic FC for next season. You know?
He probably wouldn't make the team by the sounds of it.
Yeah, we look after him here. Joe, did you Grimsby now will be up against the likes of Wrexham as well, of course, you know?
Yeah.
For another season. And
well, you know, it's a funny thing. Wrexham were favourites to go up last year, and Grimsby beat them in the playoffs.
They did?
So it, you know, I've said before, and I've said on here, you know, the hardest thing for Wrexham to do is to get out of the non-league, to get out of the National League.
Yeah.
That was proven to be the real tough one for them. And I think that now that they're out of it, that the quality that's going to be, that they have on their team is going to see them do very, very well, I think.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised.
They got 110 points in the league, lads. Wrexham I'm talking about. Just phenomenal, because they're all playing 46 games, which is phenomenal amount of games, you know. Anyway, we've come to the end of this. I think Leicester City are leading 2-1 against Everton, and we wish both teams very well anyway, you know. It's sad to see both teams down there, but that's the reality of football as we know it, you know. If you don't have a big checkbook, you're in serious trouble. And from Derwynne, Honan, from Joe Waters and myself, till we meet again next Monday, take care, lads, and good sporting.
Take care, bye.